Out goes the powerhouse, and the COVID-19 man has come to deliver you from the empty land, from the ones who have been silenced to the promised land of the Alefbet, which is the original place for the soul of a man, where he can now get his jubilee and abide safe like he's never been, in the power of the Father, in the powerhouse, cause that's what Word Tech Trick, Double Tech, in the Alefbet we're connected. Word Tech Trick, Double Tech, in the powerhouse we're connected. Truth in the Torah where it is, that's right. And whether you like it or not, I just don't give a damn. Cause in this thing, the end is gonna be for sure. It's got a date before the song began to score. This ain't no lie, we about to fly. Cause in the truth, there's nothing that can be denied. Here's the COVID-19 man is hooking you up to the other bed, to the powerhouse, with you waving. The COVID-19 man is gonna hook you up. Cause that's what Word Tech Trick, Double Tech, in the Alefbet we're connected. Word Tech Trick, Double Tech, to no one else I'm genuflecting. Word Tech Trick, Double Tech, to the powerhouse I'm connected. And then I want to get your power back, cause you will find in there the powerhouse not scared. You won't be silenced, nobody can touch what you will find in there. Gets to cut the masking back of lies. The righteous now they cries, cause the COVID-19 man is gonna hook you up to the powerhouse. Leave the power show, ride this mule around. Welcome, my fellow barbarians, and once again, it's good to have you, and it's good to, I try my best to start on time, because I want to start a good habit now. I promised Brianna last time we're going to do this, and, you know, you're right, this is I got to run it very seriously, you know, it's a very serious ministry, because very few people really teaching the Torah this way, so there needs to be. So we're going to start right on time. We're going to keep it up that way. So we're doing that today. So welcome to HDTV 28, Adaberate Torah Bolt 613. It's good to have you, my fellow barbarians. Good to see you here. Let me go to the other screen now. And here we are. I had a lot of work to do today, so my voice is kind of a little hard, you know, a little hoarse, but it's all right. We'll work with this. Make sure that my microphone is working here. I'm back to the other microphone because I was taping the song, and so I got to be shouting again. But just this time around, when we go back to the other one, so I was taping the song. And the song barely came out because my voice, like I said, was used a lot. You know, but I'm wearing my hat today. You're going to see it in a minute. I put my hat on because we're going to talk about this song by Lauren Daigle, I think is the name, Trust in You. And we're going to look at two perspectives from which this song can be seen at. All right, so that's the message for today, is what it says right there. Because we're still looking at thou shalt not commit parricide, you know, and thou shalt only serve paradise. So you're not going to take the Alefbet, which is the responsible thing we were given. And that's what I've been saying at the beginning there, you know, and we'll be talking more about that. Let me get to my main screen so I can greet some of you here. All right, let's see here. We go. We go to the, there we go. All right, I think this is the one. Here we go. So there we are. Okay. So HDTV 28 welcomes you here at Adaberate Torah Vault 613 for tonight's event. We're gonna be breaking down this song that was suggested by Brian. She said, "What is? I don't know if your favorite or her kid's favorite. We're gonna." So I looked at it and I Torah rectify it, and it's very interesting. It gave me a whole angle to which to preach tonight, which is going to be very interesting. And so we're going to try to learn from this. I'm going to share some of my personal information here because I think we can all learn. We can all learn from our mistakes, things that do not went the right way. So I will share some personal data, all for the purpose of trying to, getting you to encourage you and strengthen you spiritually, especially in raising the Alefbet, because that's the body of words that everybody ignores. But that's the body that identifies with the breath of God, and we just want to use it to identify with this body of flesh. When that's the big mistake. The whole idea of the Torah is to give you the ability to raise, the Alefbet in you, to be strong. Here, let me put a picture of what I'm talking here, because we're going to be talking about this song here. Let me put it up all the way. Trust in you, okay? And we're going to be breaking it down, all right? Let's see how some of you people are doing it. We'll see who's visiting so far. Let me put you in here. All right, let's see. Okay, Brianna is there. Brian, all right. Yeah, it started early, man. Yeah, Rosa is there. Good. Brianna is here. Very good. All right. Andy Crispin in yet? He's in the house. I think we're going to wait for him or something, right? I don't see him. I hope he shows up. Okay. But like I said, in order to start on time, I wasn't able to tag as many people as I wanted to, because I want to keep my word to start right on the dot. So I tried to did that today. So at least keeping the word is very important anyhow. So that's what we try to do, establish a good habit there. And by the way, how's my sound coming along? Am I too low? Is it okay? Can you hear me? There's Andy. It's good to see you. Shalom. All right. Is my voice strong enough? Can you hear what I'm saying? Okay, because I have the mic right there next to me. Instead of having a little way away from there, I have it right next to me on this side. So I'm trying to, get things a little better with this whole mic. It's actually the better mic, but for singing, so that's why I have it here. So that's what we're looking at today, all right? So, before I share this, let me share something on the title here at the beginning. When in the opening here I say, because we're gonna look at the story of Rebeka. Remember Rebeka, the wife of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Isaac had a wife, Rebeka, and she couldn't have kids, so he prayed and God gave them twins, all right? And so Rebeka is a representative of our soul. Okay, her name Rebeka is very interesting, okay? And that's what I try to explain here in this introduction. It says the soul made from the breath of God is a Ribqah, or Rebeka, what you call it in English, but in Hebrew is Ribqah. Okay, which is made from the Resh, which is the head, and it's made from the Beth, which is the house, or the blueprints, the floor plan of the house, and it's also made from the Kuf. The Kuf means from morning to evening and all the time. So it's the time that you work. You're always functioning. You always go to work from morning to evening. Well, in the Alefbet, you have to be in the Torah 24/7. This book of the law shall not depart of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate in it from 8 to 5. No, 24/7, day and night. So the work that God gave us is every day, because it's intimacy with Him. It's never, because the nature is to be breath, and all breath can do is just wrap His arms around everything. All the pure nature of breath is just to be intimate. It's just be engulfing and embracing everything. It's just around all over, just hugging everything. In and out. It's just intimacy is the main job. So we have to be intimacy with God 24/7, and so that's a job that we were given. So the soulmate. So it says Ribqah, which means, taking those letters, the main house that's always breathing. Okay, so that's what a soul is. It's the main house because it's going to be the house of the Alefbet, because it's made in the hay and in the pneumos, in the ruach, in the spirit of God, and so it's going to be a house, a special house to take on the alphabet. That's what the soul is. The servant of unlimited language, which is what the Alefbet is, an unlimited language, because the Alefbet, once You give it 1,000 times, you never lose it. It's an unceasing language. So the soul made from the breath of God is a Ribqah or Rebeka, which means the main house that's always breathing. And since breathing is for the purpose of activating and making alive, that also goes with breathing, bringing children and bringing life. So that's what the soul does. And says, when a soul is born into this world, it has two children. Every soul that comes into the world comes to take care of two children. And the soul is always in the female, by the way. It's always a female. El alma, soul, it always refers to the female. So the soul is a female because it's going to take care of children for Yud Ayin Vav. That's the husband for the soul. Yud Ayin Vav is the husband, and he gives it two children when he's born. It's like a Rebeka. It's the main house of breathing, that always breathing. Okay? That's what it means. The main house that's always breathing. That's what our soul is. And two children are given. This is what the story, I'm teaching you the story at the level of what it needs to be taught to get you back to the breath. Because at the beginning, we were in the breath of God. But we were cast down to the dust. So we went from the divine down to the dust, down from the breath down to the breath of God down to a brick. So we identify with this brick, with this block of flesh. That's what all we are identified. And we think this block of flesh, this brick of flesh, needs to be blessed, needs to have intimacy in this world, needs to have this comforts, needs to have all this, and everything is caught up in the block, in the brick that is this body. And we forget about the breath, which we were at the beginning, and we were always with God, and always remains, God remains there. Because in the breath, intimacy is the main play, the main game that goes on. Okay? As a brick, you only identify with this body, and what happens to this body, your joy is going to be very temporary because you don't identify with the breath. You don't identify with the true nature of God. And you are cut off. That's why we die, when we're not listening to God. So that's what the story is being told here. So the story of Rebeka is to tell us the way back to the breath. We were cast into the dust. Dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. That means we're only going to be aware of the concerns of this brick, of this block of flesh. Okay? But the whole Torah is to get us back to where we were at the beginning, so that we identify with the nature of breath, with the nature of giving life, with the nature of sustaining life. And that's a joyful situation, because that's the whole idea. So that's the introduction I was rendering at the beginning. So let me see. So the main house that's always breathing, that's what the Rebeka means. The main house that's always breathing or breathing, right? That's Ribqah or Rebeka. When a soul is born into this world, it has two children to raise or to take care. One of them is the dirt child, which is made out of the dust, this body, which is the body of flesh, okay, which is the one it gets first. So when the soul is put in the body, that's the first child it's going to take care of. Even though just being born, he has a body of flesh. So that's the first child that is aware of. Later on, so that's what it says, which is the one that he gets first, so it's the older. So it's the older child. Like Rebeka, the older one was Esau, right? And the second one is the divine child, which is the body of flesh. And when I say flesh, I'm referring to the foreseeing language. I'm talking about the words, the Alefbet. The foreseeing language advancing serviceable humans, which is the Alefbet that illuminates our understanding. And this is the second child, because later on, when you begin to grow, then you get the alphabet. Your parents teach you, they teach you the alphabet, your teachers give it to you. So there you get the second child that you're going to be taken care of, okay? And so, but this, remember, this is important, because that's what the story of the Torah is told, is to take you to this, because God wants to connect with you and never stop that connection. Okay, and that's the purpose of teaching the Torah. If nobody's teaching you that purpose, they have lost the path. It's not just to cope with life. It's not about coping with life, but about coupling. You'll see what I'm referring. It's about being in union. It's about not just the intercourse of words, but the intercourse, of spirit with spirit and soul with soul, with the very nature of God. That's true intimacy, and that's what we're talking about here. All right, so it says here, the body of flesh, okay, which is the Alefbet that illuminates our understanding, and this is the second child, or the younger. What the soul needs to remember is that the older, remember this, the older must serve the younger. That's what is in Scripture. the older. So the first baby that you get, the body, the flesh, it's going to have to be subject to the second one that you got later on, the body of words. And so the older must serve the younger. That's the whole idea of God telling you that, to understand the job of the soul when it comes to growing up in Him. The soul is like a female. It has two kids to take care of. The first one is this body, this dust body, the dirt body, which is the human flesh. And the second one is the body of the alphabet, the body of words, which is the body of flesh, the foreseeing language, advancing serviceable humanity, all the stuff that I'm saying here. So what the soul need to remember is that the older must serve the younger. The soul needs to teach and train the dust child of this world to be subservient to the divine child of the word of the Alefbet, as is instructed in Torah, the official, reliable alphabetizing handbook. That's what the Torah. So the Torah was given with those 304,805 letters of the Hebrew to raise up the alphabet in us to connect with the nature of the breath, with the spirit, with the Ruach of God. So we need to travel back from the dirt, from the brick that we have become, on back. You understand? To the breath. Okay? Because which take me to the song that I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna share to you what I recorded earlier, because my voice wasn't that good, so I made sure I had recorded it. I recorded it yesterday, by the way. It came out, not that good the way I wanted it, but it's clear enough. You understand the words, But I wanted to do it a little better. So today I was trying to do it again before I started, but I had spoken too much. I did a lot of work today. My voice wasn't even better. So today's trial was even worse than yesterday. So I'm gonna share what I recorded yesterday. So you'll get to hear the words at least. Okay, it's not my best performance. I can still do better when my voice is better. But I want to share to you what I had yesterday so you'll understand that song. This was suggested to me by Brianna, so we're going to listen to that. Now let me take you to the picture here. All right, so here we go. So that's the name of the song, Trusting You. It says, original song by Lauren Daigle and Torah rectified by Zechariah David. Okay, so she's got a Dalit in her last name. I have a David in my middle name, so I put, she represents, she sings this song from a perspective of a person that identifies with the flesh, not necessarily with the spirit, but with the blessings that comes from what happens, from the person from the flesh perspective. So in this song, I'm gonna tell you, put you the first words that she has on the original. This is the original from her. This is from her words. Okay. This is letting go of every single dream. I lay each one down at your feet. Every moment of my wandering never changes what you see. I try to win this war, I confess. My hands are weary, I need your rest. Mighty warrior, king of the fight. No matter what I face, you're by my side. When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. When you don't pour the waters, I wish I could walk through. When you don't give the answers, as I cry out to you, I will trust in you. So that's her song, basically. And so I changed that part. This is the whole part that I changed, okay? The words, I will trust in you, are the same. But I made a change because from this perspective of her singing, she's saying that, when you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. Like, you need something to happen, but God doesn't make it happen, all right? And so then it says about when you don't part the waters, when you don't clear things up for me, so that I can watch, that I wish I could just go through, So when all these things, when you don't give the answers as I cry on to you, then it says, I will trust in you. So to me, that's a very hypocritical way, because the idea to trust something in the Bible, by the way, and just in the world too, you trust something if it's reliable and it works. Like, for example, people trust on a brand because it's reliable and it's going to work. People trust in Duracell because it's going to last a long time. It's better than Energizer, right? So they trust in batteries. So they trust in something because it's reliable and it works and it will deliver the job it's supposed to do. That's why you trust in something, okay? You don't trust in something because it doesn't work. So if you go to somebody and that doesn't do the job or something, you're not going to trust them. So why are you going to trust God when he doesn't do the things that you're asking him, doesn't get things done? So it's a way of also the world has things that they want done, dreams that they want to accomplish, and they don't get them done. So who are they trusting? They're only coping with it. They says, well, there it goes. I wanted this, but this isn't work. So you're just giving your coping mechanism a religious painting, because that's what not trusting is about. I will after the song, I'm going to describe what trusting is about. So in this way, you can only trust something if it's reliable and it delivers what it says. So if you come to God to identify with his breath and to want to know everything about his breath, then you will know that he's reliable for that. He'll open up your understanding. He will allow you to see and connect the dots and will make you see how everything in the world is connected to the functionality of breath. You will be able to speak the things that I speak, because God has never let me down when I have come to know the nature of his breath, and I want to abide in that nature. Okay, so when you're in that nature of the breath, when you identify with the breath of God, with the Alefbet that resides in him and the right way of using it, and that's the greatest treasure that you have received, God doesn't let me down. I can rely on the Torah to point me in that direction and to secure my soul in the nature of his breath. And so therefore, when I identify with what we're supposed to identify with, the breath of God and not this brick of flesh, okay, then God doesn't let me down. He's reliable 100% for that. He delivers on what he says. That was his promise is to make the Alefbet, the strong house, the strong building, a strong constitution, a strong body of revelation and confession inside of me. So when I approach the scriptures for that, because that is the economy that I surround myself with, I am not disappointed. So you trust something that is not going to disappoint you. But in this song, you can see she gets disappointed because she doesn't get to have the mountains move. She doesn't get to have the waters removed. The things that she needs for the things of this world. The comforts and the things they want to achieve in this flesh. That's the only reason why she thinks that way. So when none of that happened, I'm going to trust in you. That's just saying I'm coping with it. Because you don't trust in something that's not reliable. So it's just your coping mechanism. That's what this whole song is about. You're expressing your coping mechanism, because to trust is to go to something because it's reliable. Like people just buy a certain brand because it never breaks down, or buy a certain cars because they're very reliable, they last a long time. That's why they buy it. Imagine you saying that to a car. If the car doesn't take me more than a block, if the car doesn't rise, I'm still going to trust in you. You're going to sound very stupid. You know what I'm saying? You're just coping with the whole situation there. You're a loser, you're not getting things done, and you're coping with it and saying, I'm going to trust in you. It doesn't make sense, this song, to sing it that way, you see? But I'm coming from the perspective of identifying with the breath of God. So when you see here, let me take you here to the way I change the verse. Some of the words are similar, right? But you understand, especially in the chorus, how it changes here. All right, let me see here. So this is my version of it. It says, letting go of every empty dream, I find reality at your script. Every moment is a wonder scheme. Never ending is your weight. There's no device or weapon, I confess, that can remove me from your blessed rest. Mighty warrior, king of the fight, is what my soul becomes when you're my light. There's no assailing fountain that cannot be withstood. But I'm going to put the song because I recorded it yesterday. But you see the difference? You see what I'm saying? I'm trusting God to be like in the nature of his breath. And when your breath, when your air, when you're ready to activate an animated thing, a mountain can stop the air. No, the mountain goes, the breath goes right and caresses the air right on top of it. Any waters, any fountains can stop the air. No, the air goes right through it. So it's in the nature of breath on air. I'm unstoppable, my friends. So that's how I identify, and so that's how this song goes. So you see, I'm identified with the break of flesh. I am identified with the nature of the breath of my maker. And so now let's hear the song. I want to put it in here. Put it in here. A second. Take it to the cinema for this one. All right, there we go. Okay, so in the style of Lauren Daigle, Trust in You, has been Torah rectified by yours truly, Zacharias Castro. So I'm going to sing it right now and see how it comes here. Let's try this. Letting go of every empty dream, I find reality at your square. Every moment is a wonder scheme, never ending is your way. There's no device or weapon I confess that can remove me from your blessed rest. Mighty warrior, king of the fire, is what my soul becomes when you're my light. There's no assailing sounds that cannot be withstood. There's no restraining waters that I cannot just walk through. Since you're my only answer to show what's best in you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. Truth is, you know what tomorrow brings. There's not a day ahead you have not seen. So in all things be my life and breath. I want with you and Lord and nothing less. There's no assailing sound that cannot be withstood. There's no restraining waters that I cannot just walk through. Since you're the only answer to what is best in you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. I will trust in you. You are my strength and comfort. You are my steady hand. You are my firm foundation. The rock on which I stand. Your ways are always higher. Your plans are always good. There's not a place where I'll go. You never really stood. And you're not sailing fountain that cannot be withstood. There are no restraining waters that I cannot just walk through. Since you're the only answer to show what's best in you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. I will trust in you. I will trust in you. I will trust in All right. So there you have it. Okay. So, that was yesterday. I had to do it yesterday just to make sure because I wasn't sure if Wednesdays it gets kind of busy sometimes. So, and it was. So my voice wasn't there, there today. So at least I got to say. So in this song, uh, on the second part, truth is you know what tomorrow brings. All of that stay the same, okay? Because then you're agreeing with God that you know what He does. You know, there's not a day ahead you have not seen because you know that about God. So in all things, be my life and breath. And this is part of her original. And I like it because, you know, I talk about being breath, being the life and the breath of God. And she actually has that in that verse. So I wasn't going to change that. That's perfect. You identify with God and you know those things about Him. But the whole idea is you're there, you will not be asking anything contrary to being breath or being life. If you want to be a life giver, if you want to be the breath of God here to restore, renew, and refresh, to always be looking out for your fellow men, you will never be asking anything contrary to that. So therefore, you will not receive anything, that goes against what God wants. God wants you to have a strong constitution. Wants you to bring this the Alefbet in you, okay? And so to have it that way, because that's the main thing that we were made for that. And so this part does not change. That's remain the same. This is actually her own original word. So I kept it that because there's nothing wrong with that. That did not need to be Torah rectified. It was just fine. So the chorus was changed. You can see this is the chorus that was changed, and also the second part at the end. You are my strength and comfort. You are my steady hand. You are my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand. The Torah is the rock. That's what it's called, the rock too. So your ways are always higher. Your plans are always good. There's not a place where I'll go you've not already stood. These are all her words. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's so true about God. You know, so I just left it like that. All right, but at the beginning, the way she's dealing with situations in life and how things are not going, that had nothing to do with you being the breath, being in the breath of God. So those things were changed. But all in all, it's a nice song, you know, and so we learn a little bit from it. Let's see how we do it here. uh, wow, Brianna, you are Rebeka, really? My goodness. There's so many things connecting to you. It's amazing, you know. You were born on the day that this group was formed. You know, we have Brianna there. You know, it's a lot of things that connect to you. It's amazing. Well, I hope you like the rendition of the song. uh, all right. And the thing is, okay, but we're gonna be looking right now into these verses. All right. Okay. Brianna, Beth, Rebeka. Wow. Because I thought Brianna Beth was two names already. So Brianna Beth is one name, and then Rebeka is a second name. Wow. That's news. That's news. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, very good. All right. So, okay, but now let me get you to. So we were here, and we go back to where we were because we're gonna learn from this today. Okay, because this is the main thing that we need to learn is to the whole idea. Like I said, the Torah is to bring us back, you know, to the mindset of God because we abandoned it, and the whole world identifies, you know, because the whole thing is the religion that's been given to us, my friends. Let me go here. So that's why I call trust in you. When you just identify with the flesh, because that's what people, if you don't have the Torah to guide you, which most people are not Jewish, and even the Jewish people, even when they do the bar mitzvah, that means they become the son or daughter of the command. Bar mitzvah means for the boys, or bat mitzvah for the girls. And the girls usually do it a year earlier because girls always mature faster. And so usually do it at the age of 12, I believe, and the boy do it at 13. But that means they become the son or daughter of the command, you know, the son or daughter of the mitzvah. This bar mitzvah is son of the commandment, the son or daughter of the commandment. So that means they're going to live, you know, for the Alefbet, for the body of the Alefbet to be a strong constitution of them. So it's understandable that they have access to the Torah, and they're taught the Torah when they're from 3 years old. They're taught the alphabet, so they get that early in life, you know, and they're taught the alphabet in the Torah. All right. Now they have all kinds of traditions too with the Talmud and other you know, all the stuff that they read that takes them away from the Torah. But the Torah itself can guide you back to the breath, you know, to God, and that's the whole idea of being there. So there's a lot of things that you're gonna get in this life that doesn't necessarily give you the comfort that everybody in this world is looking to understand from the point of view of the blessings of the flesh, let's say, the external comforts that people look for, or to have a life more comfortable. The whole idea is that we are like computers, okay? A computer is made with its hardware, the parts outside, right? Like the keyboard, the mouse, okay? And the tower, the desk tower, the screen, the monitor that I'm looking at. All of that stuff is called the hardware, which is the external. But all of that is there to serve the software, the program that is inside of it, in the hard drive that is being there. And so for the sake of that program, because that's the program that's going to make everything happen, it's going to make everything work in that computer. For the sake of that program, is that this thing is made, and it's made of hard material, so it wasn't break that easy. So we just have to worry about taking care of the word inside. And that's why all businesses run, and it's a big crime to be a hacker, to get into somebody's computer and mess with the program. That's a big crime. You can go to jail. It's a white-collar crime, they call it. You can go to jail for that, because the word is very serious, especially when it's being trusted to run the mule, the manpower of hell-lame economy. So they cannot afford to have people mess with the computer's word. So the word, because it's a very orderly word, and it's every done. So even though the hardware is put in first, okay, the first body that is built, okay, and they build the hardware and they build everything, then for last, the last thing they put is the software. So the software goes into the computer last. So the first child is the hardware, and the second child is the software. But the hardware must serve the software. You got to learn that it's for the sake of the software, it's for the sake of the Alefbet that is in us, to grow into a spirit of being a father and mother to all, that we subject this body, and we wait on God as long as we know in which direction we're going. So if you have to put up with a lot of stuff in this world because you don't know that you're on the path to joining with his breath, that's very confusing. That's very disappointing. Then you will be perplexed and annoyed all the time because things don't happen the way, and you don't understand. So a lot of people in the world don't get most people in the world, everybody in the world don't get exactly what they want. Okay? But a lot of them don't know why God doesn't let them have everything they want, because at the end of the day, he wants them to he's trying to, a man plans his way, but it's God decides, which direction you're going to go. Because at the end of the day, God doesn't want him to have just the comfort of the flesh. He wants him to come back and realizes that the things in this world are not necessarily what will satisfy you and give you eternal, ecstasies or joy or simha, which is called happiness or gladness or glee. That's not going to come, from the externalities and the functional, because that's what you were not made. You and I were made from the breath of God, and we need to go back to that. Okay, so for a long time, I did not get the things I wanted, because I wanted have a regular marriage like everybody else with plenty of kids. When I got married, my ex-wife, which was my wife at that time, she told me I want to have 5 or 6, because I told her I want to have 5 or 6 kids. She said, me too. Okay, that's what she got. And after the first kid, man, she didn't want to have any more, And so she went back on what she was promising me. She wanted to go. But then I found out, there's a problem with her. There are people in the world that are frigids, that that have problem being intimate. So later on I learned to accept that. At the beginning it was kind of hard for me to deal with it. So I barely was able to get 2 kids. One 9 years separate in that situation. But you have to understand that. So okay, but the fact that she was like that allowed me to go and spend a lot of time reading the scriptures, because since I wasn't being intimate body in my flesh, with the partner here in this world, at least I went to be intimate with the. So I would study the scriptures from 9:30 to 2 every day for a long time, and I wasn't even in the Hebrew. I would use the concordance. I was learning to be intimate with the Word of God, memorizing this here, connecting this word with that, finding out how many times this word is used, using the old Young's concordance and all the stuff. I had all these things. I was reading every night. I spent hours after hours just looking like that, becoming intimate with my Maker. So, if I were getting any action in the flesh, I was going to get some action in my spirit. I was going to get intimate with my Maker. So I do not, in a way, say, oh, man, I did not get the things I wanted. I wanted things this way. But at the end of the day, at the end of how things are right now, the connectedness that I have with God and the way I can just enter the Torah in all directions and see what it's pointing to, I wouldn't change it for the world. So to me, it's a miracle that in her condition, at least she was able to give me 2 children. You know, so that's how I look at it now. In a condition like that, but I guess God set it all up so that so He will force the situation so I will learn to just be in the Bible and be learning and be, enthused in that. And that's what happened. So things did not, may not work to get the comfort you want, but you know in which direction. And as I spent time in the Bible and I do all that, I just knew, and my understanding was growing. I was able to connect a lot of things, even though it was a little kind of hard without the Hebrew, let me tell you that. Because as soon as I got into the Hebrew, everything connecting, maximum power of connections, in the world. But that's how it was, so things do not necessarily happen. But when when you're heading in the direction, then you understand at the end of the day, because you put the Lord in your youth, you set your time aside to get to know Him, So at the end, when you get to the end of the day, you understand, the things may not have happened. So at the end of the day, what happens, because in this situation, when you get married with somebody, by the way, and so there are two ways that people can be unfaithful, if they do not do the job they're supposed to do, okay? People can marry you and they go have sex with somebody else, or they feel tempted to have sex, have an intercourse with somebody else. That's one way of being unfaithful, committing adultery. But the other way is being in a relationship and not being intimate with your partner. You are not fulfilling also your obligation. You're not being faithful on the job, okay? Because when you go to work, you're supposed to do a certain duties and you're supposed to be faithful to your job. So there's a job that a husband's supposed to do to the wife, and there's a job that a wife's supposed to do to the husband in terms of intimacy. So if you fail to do those things, and this is like very extreme failure, if you fail to do those things, then you have grounds for divorce. Simple as that. Because you're being unfaithful, not necessarily, in the sense that you went with somebody else, but you're being unfaithful on the job. So you can be fired. Simple as that. So you have grounds for divorce. So at the end of after many years, I just said, look, I just don't like the idea of having married to become a monk. Not having any. Okay, so since you're not able to live up to this capacity, I'm gonna have to, we're gonna have to divorce. And so we end up divorcing, and this is called irreconcilable differences. That's the reason for the divorce. But basically the reason why it happens. So I'm just being open to you how things happen, But I don't have it against anybody when in that situation. So, but you have to understand that you have to do everything with the contract. When you get married, to do a certain thing as a certain task. In a marriage, certain things are expected. So that's why the Bible is set up with oaths and vows, and contracts and covenants, because that's how you train the Alefbet in you, to be strong. That's why it's made up that way, with contracts and covenants, because if the contract is not fulfilled, then you have reasons, because that's a covenant. You make a covenant, and if you don't do that, there are consequences. As simple as that. So people that are in a situation, I recommend to them, if you're in a situation in which your husband or your wife is not being in it, and it just no matter how things work out, then there are grounds for divorce. Because the thing is, the person not doing the job of being faithful to you to do the job they're supposed to do, they're already breaking the Torah. They're already breaking the law. They're not being the best father and mother to all they're supposed to do, because, love, charity begins at the home. So they don't even know how to be loving and caring to you. They're breaking the commandment right there, not being loving and caring to you. So you have grounds for divorce. So he or she, whoever is being the one unfaithful, that person has broken the Torah. It doesn't have a good, strong constitution in them. Okay? And so you might be tempted, as I was in that situation. I was tempted to maybe go, somebody else was looking nice in my direction. I was maybe something can happen in that direction. You get to be tempted because you're not getting anything, So anybody that's kind of nice to you might be tempted to go different ways. But the thing is, you gotta, because somebody breaks the covenant of not raising the Alefbet, by not being faithful to their duty, not fulfilling their contract, you should not go along and do the same, because you should not justify, I'm going to get somebody else and do that to me, because your job and my job is to raise the Alefbet that is inside of us to be very strong. So you do what it needs to be done, and then you do it according to contracts and vows. If the vow of the contract is violated, then you have reasons to proceed, and then you do it all according to laws. And God will bless you to do it that way. God is not going to bless you if you go in your own direction to try to find something else because you're not getting it at home. If you're under a contract, you got to deal with the contract, face what the consequences are going to be, and then when you're divorced or you're on your own, then you can do things, okay? But now that I've been divorced since 2007, I tell you right now, I'm sharing these things so you understand, why it took this long time to understand. But I'm not disappointed now. I'm not disappointed with the way I understand things. But because from the Torah, I learned that, it says that if you lay with a maiden that is not betrothed, if I have sex like in America, it's okay. They call it consensual sex here in America. By the way, they call it consensual sex. Two adults can get together and agree. They call it consensual sex. But in the Bible it says if a man lays down or entices a woman, or goes along with her plans and lays down with her, the Bible says that man is gonna take her as wife. That's what it says, in the Bible, in the Torah. That woman it's just not a one night stand. There's no such a thing like that in the Torah. It's that woman becomes your wife, your responsibility. All right? So, because that's how you make people that are mensch. You're going to become a man. That means you're going to be responsible for the woman you're going to lay down with. So, that's because that was ingrained in my mind, and I know how my mom, from my mom Abigail, that's my mom's name. Abigail is my mom who passed away. And the way my dad was a player. My dad just had a lot of kids. I think the last time I counted, it's about 16 or 17, And every now and then he introduces a new one there, and so I saw how my mom, but he only married my mom. All the other ones but I saw how my mom, felt with the whole situation. So I identified my mom, and I thought, if I'm ever going to get married, I'm never going to do something to the woman that way. And so I don't do that, but especially that I know the Torah, because that's responsibility. That's how you create a man. So you got to so even as right now, since I've been free to 2007, every woman that is interested in going out with me, I tell them right away, I don't date unless, for one thing, you got to listen to me for a while to see if you agree with the way I think, so we talk on the phone, we have studies on the phone. And if we don't match that way, that's it. We part in separate ways. Because I don't believe in going out on dating with somebody, because that's not in the Torah idea. The thing, you got to identify with somebody that is strong to build up the Alefbet in you, and is happy to study Torah with you. Especially now that I know the Torah, I can see why the children of Israel don't mingle, with the ones that don't have the same mindset. Because with responsibility is to build the software, to build the Alefbet, the strong tower, to stay strong, to be a father and mother to all. So you have to find a partner. And that's the thing with my ex-wife. She would not want to listen to what I had to say in the Bible. My Bible studies, if she would have listened to my Bible studies, I would have stayed with her longer. Because I figure eventually, maybe she'll get to see things from the perspective of the Bible. But she never wanted to listen to my Bible studies. Well, she even went as far as cursing. The way that it says, I hate the God that you believe in. She even told me that. So, so when people can't even agree that in that direction, then, you got to go separate ways, because they're not being faithful to you physically, and they're not being faithful to the God that you believe in, that makes me be the way that I am. I'm generous and all of that I am because of the God that I believe in and the Torah that guides me. And if you have something against that, then you cannot be with me. As simple as that. So that's how things work. And so we're responsible to make men and women that are responsible to take care of one another. And our first duty is to take care of the Alefbet. So the body of flesh comes first, because the soul comes aware of this, but then he gets the Alefbet, and then he has to make this body of flesh be subservient. Okay? And do these things, because the Torah, that's why I said that's why he'll become a citizen of the United States, because in the United States, they have all these laws that allow you to break it, to break the Torah, you don't think nothing of it. The whole idea of consensual sex with two adults is against the Torah. The Torah doesn't agree with that. It doesn't create responsible men and women. So, so everybody needs to do according to the contract and to the vows. That's why the reasons are there, is to make sure that if people fail in their vow, then you have reasons to do something, and then you take care of that, and then you move forward, in the direction they're supposed to do, and God is going to bless you if you do it that way. But if somebody is a flaky person, a husband or wife that does not deliver what they're supposed to, they're not faithful to deliver, and then you become flaky because it says, I'm going to go get someplace, then you're also ruining yourself. And if you have children, you're ruining the children because you're teaching them, that in a marriage, there's nothing sacred, especially the vows. You get vows, to hold and to cherish. Are you not getting that or not giving that? That's already broken vow. You have reasons to divorce and you got reasons to move forward, And especially if you try to get counseling and nothing is done, you have a reason to move forward. As simple as that, But you have to understand, that's why we do everything. So once you do everything according to the scriptures, that's where the blessing comes in, So it's not for God to have made me the person that I am today, that I can create a program where I can give money away every week. I dare you. I pay you. I want the first person that finds me another ministry like mine, okay? Go look around. I dare you to go look around everywhere in the internet or anywhere in YouTube. Find somebody else that is doing exactly the same thing that I'm doing, giving away every time he's got a program, at least once a week, like I'm doing, giving away money, to the ones he's teaching the scriptures. If you go find and you can point me to that person, I'll give you $100. Okay, this is my next challenge, because it's not easy to become the person that I am. It's not easy to be this kind of a person. You have to go through hell. You got to go through a lot of deprivations. You got to go through a lot of things because you want to stick to that so you understand and be in the essence of the breath. But now that I'm in the breath, I give thanks to God for everything I went through. I'm not disappointed for what I went through. Okay, because I understand I'm back, into the nature of how things are. But this is my challenge to you guys. Go look around. If you find another ministry, say, Mr. Castro, I found this guy that does the same thing. He teaches, he don't have to be teaching the Torah. He could be teaching anything. He could be teaching Buddhism. He can be teaching any religion. I dare you, or he can be teaching yoga classes or whatever classes. As long as they're teaching something and giving money for the people that come and hear the lessons. I want you to go find them, because I dare you. I want to see how many can you find. Okay? The first one to find somebody, I'll give you $100. That's my next challenge, okay? So I just put it out there, because it takes a while, but if you working in the direction, on making the Alefbet strong, that's your first priority, you get to be the person that I am. So even when you're making $15 an hour, which I do, because most people think, hey, Mr. Castro will be making a lot of money. $15 an hour. That's what I make, But because I have learned fasting, I've learned to live on a very small budget. And guys blessed me with a small apartment that, even in LA, this apartment is 2 bedrooms and one bath, and only pay $500. You don't get that. But the blessing of being a giver, God makes it so, this whole place with 2 bedrooms and one bath is $500. That I was able to get it and use it and pay for the whole rent, so that God will continue to keep me a giver, because I've been a giver for a long time. So God's worked things in my life. So my rent of $500 has never gone up since 2007. I have always been paying $500 every place that I go. I've been going to different places. Sometimes it was in a garage, $500. Now I was in a room, $500. Finally, I go to this place with 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. So the place has been improving, but the rent has been the same. $500 with the same, bigger rooms, bigger place. About $500 is the same rent. Okay? Because God works it out. He wants me as a giver. He started me and set me up as a giver. So that's why I'm able to do all these things. And since I work out, I don't walk. I don't buy insurance. I don't have to buy a car. I have to make car payments. I did buy some for my son, and I was making payments for that. But because of what happened last year, they came to repossess it, because, like I said, last year the salary for the first, it had gone up. The 3 years ago to almost $35 an hour, but now it's down to $15 an hour. And now it's down to $15 an hour since 2020. I am giving just as much as before when I'm making $90,000. So, I do get to do a lot of overtime. So, it's getting to be about $60,000 or $65,000 a year still with all the overtime, because they do give a lot of bonuses in this job. But still, $15 an hour is my base salaries, but it can be done. But it takes a while for God to form a mensch. A person that is a giver, is responsible, that identifies with the problems of others and tries to help them in the best way that he can, because he knows his budget, he knows what he's capable of living for and living with, and who you can freely give without expecting anything in return. Okay, and so that's why I want for you. I want you to understand that just like Ribqah or Rebeka, and it's amazing that Brianna, I can't get over that. That's just her name. This is amazing, you know. But that's Ribqah, but that's what our soul is, okay? Our soul has to take care, and she identified, Rebeka identified with the care of Jacob. Jacob was the spiritual one. Because we started with the name of Yud Vav, okay? Yud, okay? Jacob, you know, who became Israel. And she, you know, the father identified, Isaac identified with, loved, you know, Esau, and the mother loved Jacob. So, but that's how it is. The soul has to learn to love the Alefbet, the software first, and to make this body subservient to it. Because at the end, you will rejoice more in your soul. And my body is in perfect health. Believe me, it's working like a 25-year-old. Everything functions pretty well. So it's not like, even though I'm 61, you know, my body is behind. No, it's perfect. You know, it's working like in my 20s. You know, thank God everything is healthy. I don't have any medications of any sort. So everything is working fine. So at the end of the day, you know, I am ready to do everything. Like, because I thought I was going to start my ministry when I was going to be 80, like when Moses was 80. He started at 80. But I'm just like a little young punk. And in that sense, according to his age, I'm 61. He started at 80. So I'm doing pretty good, I think. You know, that's how I look at it. So let me take you here to the verses that are on top, because this is very important. All right. Let me go down to these verses, and then we'll start making some questions. So, okay. Right. So here are the verses here. Let me put it here at the beginning here. It says, okay. This is with the alphabet. All right, let me open this up a little bit. I can see. All right, so we can see it, right? All right, there we go. With the alphabet, that is the Alefbet of the Father, we are able to receive, learn, and show what is the best that can be found in everyone or anything in the here and now that we are able to love the most. Okay, so if there's anything in this world that you like and you learn, because you like it so much and you learn, you're able to receive that lesson. You are able to then display it and show it off from your own perspective. You know, so that's why, you know, even kids, you know, they watch Bruce Lee movies and they're imitating this. I remember even my son, Gabriel, will imitate Bruce Lee. You know, he will imitate all this. He will do a good job of that when he was a little kid. He saw a lot of stuff, the karate stuff, and he has a lot of fighting moves. It was amazing how he picked up those things. But the thing, when you like certain things, you can show them. You can receive the lesson, and then you can get to show them. The same when you learn into the character of God, you can learn to receive that, and you learn to show it, okay? And so that's what this song talks about in the portion that I made, you know, because I know, you know, that only the Torah would show me who he is. That's why, you know, I'm not disappointed that really happens. So Proverbs 13:12, it says, hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. Okay? You understand that in the breath of God, in the Spirit of God, the Alefbet is used the proper way. In the mindset of God, he knows how to use it. The Alefbet is there to be a father and mother to all. That's the main job, the main function. To keep everything restored, refreshed, renewed, and to be of service and to do maintenance for all. Okay? And that's the greatest joy. It is. I mean, for me, that is the greatest joy. But if you do identify with the function of the breath, but you only identify with this body, which just get external comforts every now and then, and little things here and there every now and then, you know, which is okay, because the body, we were not made to just be in the awareness of what the body gets. The body really needs very little, okay? The body to live a long time and to have longevity and vitality and everything, it only needs to have access to those 300,000 edible plants, okay? The 300,000 that God originally made for us. Can you do better than those 300,000 plants? Those phytonutrients, those chemical plants, those nutrients that can revitalize us and give us long life? No, none of all the junk food or processed food, that's the 600,000, you know, processed foods that are selling in markets can do anything. and of those 300,000 we deprive. So there it goes. That's the best that you can do for your body, those 300,000. On top of that, all the stuff that comes is just junk food and everything else. Okay, so for the body, it's very little care, and it was all provided for us. But we have been left deficient because industrialized nations make sure that only we get 200 plants that we eat, and of those 200, most people don't even eat 20 because people have bad eating habits. Okay, so they are deficient. So it's very little that is needed for you to improve. What we need to go, you need to go back to the old garden. That's why it says that they're going to turn the weapons into plowshares. They're going to go back to gardening. They're going to go back to the treasure of our bodies, which you cannot do better than those 300,000 edible plants. So that's really taken care of, for the body. So if you have access to those things, the body will live long. I only eat like one meal a day when I eat. If I don't eat, I just drinking water, or sometimes I don't even have anything to eat at all. Okay, because my body's so constantly energized. And so definitely don't eat more than one meal a day. That's for sure. I just can't have. My body. It's just. I feel like I'm gonna make myself sick if I do that because of how But at no moment am I deprived. I'm still, even one meal a day I can gain weight. It's amazing, because it's a job of sitting all the time. So I will need to walk. I need to walk, which I'm doing now. But this is how things work, So hope deferred maketh the heart sick. But when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. So this is how God made it. God made it. God knows, that the fountain of youth is found in you. The fountain of youth is called serotonin, which is the chemical, the happy hormone. The people that exist, that make them happy, the sort of thing. But the thing is, it opens up in you on different occasions. People feel happy, when they have a party to celebrate, when people get married, when it's graduations, with some festivity going, then the people feel the gladness and jubilee, and they're all rejoicing in that. Okay, serotonin is called. Then the serotonin gets released. And so this releasing of the serotonin, happens because you identify with a body that is a brick. You identify with this body of flesh. And so according to your programming in this body of flesh, there are certain occasions where you are said that you can release those things because that's how you've been trained, how you've been programmed. When you graduate, then you can release some serotonin. You can feel happy about it. So, when you get married, you can release some serotonin. When you accomplish this, when you get this medal, when you get this recognition, then you can release the serotonin because you're identifying with the achievements of what you get in this brick of this body of flesh. So the release of the serotonin, which is the fountain of youth that is inside of you, because that's what really keeps you young. It's just sporadic. It's every now and then. But if you begin to identify with your true nature of the breath in the Alefbet of how you connect with everything, and that's where you are, that joy, my friends, that joy is constant. Because in the body of breath, of identifying how God is the connecting and giver of life, you're never disappointed. You're planning this, and then this comes up. And then you're planning this, and you can do this. You're planning this lesson, and this thing comes up. So it's a constant jubilee, which I want to explain to you. So the whole idea, because man became dust, his level of serotonin, his youth hormone, because, to be happy, it's less wrinkles, when you frown. You get to frowning all the time, or concern and heavy thinking all the time, like that worry. That makes you, get older faster than anything else you can imagine. Okay? So this hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. So if you identify with the body of breath, with the body of the Alefbet, and that's where you're growing in that direction, because that's what the Torah takes you, then your joy is going to be constant and not sporadical. And then you're going to feel this thing. This joy growing in you, and then vitality is going to be in you, energy is going to be in you. Good health is going to be flowing through you. Okay, that's why it's in Proverbs 14:12. It says, "There's a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death." Like to take care, just to be concerned about this body, which is what the whole world is caught up. They're in the prison of their own body, of the hardware. They think this hardware is so important. And so the joys are sporadical. And so no matter if you do it good, you buy your house, you celebrate the buying of your house, you buy your car, you celebrate the buying of your car, You have all these things, and they seem right unto you, but they are the ways of death because they don't release the serotonin constantly. And the serotonin is what's going to keep you alive. It's going to keep you rejuvenated. Okay, so you have the program, lacks it or unlacks it. So if you are in the Torah, you're working in a different economy. Okay, so it says in Psalm 69, verse 11, said, "Thou wilt show me the path of life," which is when you come to the Torah. The path of life, or the ways of life, the words and yearnings for life. In thy presence is panim, in the face, which means in the Torah. In looking at the Torah is fullness of joy, fullness of gladness. At thy right hand, there are pleasures forevermore. Okay, so one identifies with the break of the flesh and the pleasures as every now and then. So before you're 60, you're already all aged up, already all used up inside because you wanted so many pleasures to release the serotonin, but if you go in the way of the Torah, there's thou will show me the path of life. It's not the way of death, the life that connects to him. In thy presence or in thy panim is fullness of joy. At the right hand there are pleasures forevermore. And I'm getting ready to do the questions right now, but let me just finish reading here, because I want to go on these verses with more detail next week. But this so far, I'm just going to go little by little. It says, our fathers trusted in thee. In verses 25, verse 4, 5. So this is about the word trust for the song, trust in you. Our fathers trusted in thee. They trusted and thou didst deliver them. They trusted and they were able to be delivered. So in other words, God delivered. When you trust in a product, it's going to deliver what it says. That's why you trust in the product. They cried out unto thee. Like, so when I cry unto you and you don't answer, I will trust in thee. It says, they cried out to thee and were delivered. They trusted in thee and were not disappointed. They got what they were trusting God for. They were not disappointed. They were not confounded. So God is not going to disappoint you if you're trusting to unite and understand and be with him in his breath-like quality, in the functionality of spirit. You're going to be so delighted, so full of everything, and able to do something that hardly anybody does. That's why I'm putting that there out there, because I'm doing my ministry in a way that hardly anybody does it, because I'm showing you how capable the Torah had made me to be this kind of person, And so that's why I put that challenge out there. So that's another extra way of making money right there. So, but here you go. So we are not disappointed when we trust in him, because we trust in him to become like him. And we look at the Torah so that we are guided back into being into the breath of God, into the original economy. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour my breath. The word spirit here is the same as breath. That I will pour my breath upon all flesh. And your sons and your daughters will prophesy. And old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions. So it will be like the days of old of the prophets, But everybody's going to be connected with the understanding of the spirit, the breath of God. So all these lessons that I'm giving you right now are leading to Joel 2:28. It shall come to pass that afterwards that I will pour out my breath. People, this whole teaching here is to elevate you to your original economy so that you will be there at all time, 24/7. And that's what the whole goal of the Torah is. That's why the word Torah ends with hey, breath. The word Sabah, commands, ends with hey. The word Yud Hevave, which is the God we serve, ends with hey, breath. And the word mitzvah ends with hey, breath. Because the whole purpose of all of that is to take us back to be in the hey, to be in the functionality of the breath and the functionality of the spirit. You understand? So then, that's why it says here in Jeremiah 9:23-24. And then I'm going to teach you a word that is very important. And we're going to close with that. And so in Jeremiah 9:23-24, it says, thus saith the Lord. Look at this one. This is very beautiful. Thus saith the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom. In other words, you understand you received knowledge. Don't just be bragging about not knowledge. It's good that you have it. And you can talk about it, but not just be bragging, you see this and you understand that, just brag. Neither let the mighty man, the strong man, glory in his strength, on his might, because he's strong, right? And let not the rich man glory in his riches. But let him that glory, or let him that gonna brag or boast about something, Let him that brags or boasts or glories, glory in this. This is what God wants you to be bragging about. Listen very carefully. It says, that he understandeth. The word understandeth in the Hebrew is sakal. Sakal, like putting Zach. My name's Zach, and then the word al at the end, sakal. Okay? Which is the same word that is translated in Joshua 1:8, good success. Good success. And they shall have good success. This book of the law shall not depart out of the mouth, blah, 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 but they shall have good success. The word good success is the same, the word here is understanding, sakal. It says, but let him that give it the glory in this, that he sakal, that he has good success, what? And knoweth me. This word knoweth is the last word we're going to learn right now. And knoweth me, that's the word yada, which is the same word that was used, which says, and that's the word that means to know. Yada in Hebrew means to know, and it's the same word. It says, and Adam knew Eve, and they conceived. So the same word of being intimate, of coupling, of copulating, of having intercourse, so you can generate a child. So the same word, Yada, is the same one used. And so that's knowing. So here I was talking about, but let him glory. He that wants to glory, let him glory in this, that he understandeth. He has good success in being intimate. Okay, you understand? In having that intimacy, in having that connectedness. And knoweth me, and being intimate with me. Okay, says that I am the Lord, that I am the Yud Vav. The work of revealing the connectedness of the breath. That I am the work of revealing the connectedness of the breath, which exercises loving kindness. The stuff that we do. We take care of people, when they're in need, and we provide for them, because God has made us able to be providers, so we can experience the flow of His Spirit coming out of us. That's our own personal joy that we have in doing that. So it says loving kindness, judgment, doing what is fair, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith the Lord. So that's what God wants you to brag. If you're going to brag and you have wisdom, don't brag about the wisdom. You're going to brag and you're a strong person, don't brag about that. If you have a lot of riches, don't brag about that. You don't want to have your picture enforced with all of that. If you know me, if you're intimate with me, brag about that. Like I see how young people, when they're teenagers, they want to brag about, the love exploitations. Man, I got this girl, we did it in the back. We did it. They're all about the love, crazy things that they did, They did all these crazy things to get a girl or to deceive. So all the intimate moments that they have with them, they want to share with their friends. That's what they want to brag about. The fake intimacy that they consider, because they were able to score here sexually wise. I score here and that. I got this girl. So they want to know. I'm a suave. I'm a guy with the connections. I have the girls. I have all of that. So they want to tell the intimate exploits. Of how they get away with this. But God's talking about, hey, talk about my intimate exploits with me. What is it about being in the breath that you want to brag about? What does it make you feel, How does it feel to be united with me and to blend with me and to be in that? Tell the people about that. Tell them about those exploits. Tell them about that. Talk about those things. Brag about those things. You see? That's what God's talking about. That intimacy, People are just concerned about, I haven't got too much intimacy in the flesh here and there, And the thing, because that's the way of the world. They're trained and programmed for this body. But at the end of the day, this is what God is concerned with, the Yada. And so let me finish with that. And that's the word that I put here on the sides. Sideway on this side, Yada, and here in English, knowing. So Yada means to know, And why is that? That Yada, which says, because it's when the serpent came to the woman and says, so you're not supposed to eat of any tree in the garden? And the woman said, no. We're supposed to eat of every tree except the one that is in the midst of the garden. We're not supposed to even touch it. And that's where she went wrong, because God never said anything about touching it. God only gave one commandment, and was not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But, when the devil came to saying the way he said it, well, if you can eat of one tree, might not well not eat of any tree. So he came saying it that way. So God said not to eat of any tree, and then she goes and says, no, he don't say not to eat of one tree, but he says he was very strict about it, like you say, but not to even touch it. That's something that she added. But that was the whole idea of the of the serpent. It was trying to identify with him. See. So what's the point of being that? So they says, but God knoweth. It says you're not gonna die, but God knoweth, and the word knoweth it means yada again, to know. So what's the connection with to know, and to know something with your mind, with the words, and to know something and to know a woman physically? How do you connect that? And the reason is like this, because when you know something, the yada, when you get to know something, that means there's an entrance, okay? There's a penetration of understanding that goes into your soul, and a new idea is born within you that wasn't there before. So every time you get to know something, what has happened, there's a penetration of understanding that went into your soul, and a new idea was born within you that wasn't in your soul before. So you see that act? The functionality of knowing is the functionality of what flesh does with another flesh. There's a penetration that goes from the man to the woman, and there's a deposit of a child that's going to be born in that woman that wasn't there before. So the same functionality. That's how you describe the scriptures, in functionality. So the functionality of yada and knowing, the similar word for that in English, and I will end with this. A similar word for yada that is used, for learning something and also for having sex is the word intercourse. Intercourse has to do, when people have a conversation, share something. And I'll give you this from, I think I have it here. The word intercourse, yeah. Okay. Intercourse, it says, dealings or communications between persons or groups, okay? And sexual intercourse. So dealings or communications. So the same word, when you think of yada, it's an intercourse, okay? Because the idea of a communication that enters you and you understand it and you didn't have it before. So it's an exchange of information. So that's called intercourse because it's communication. And also there's intercourse when it comes to sex, okay? So that's will be the equivalent of that word in English, okay? So it's used a lot in Hebrew with yada and knowing, and it's translated as knowing, and that's the word that is used almost everywhere. And all the word knowing is translated that way because that's the connection, you see, the functionality. So knowing or yada means there's a penetration of the understanding, in your mind, and then a new idea is born and it gives birth to a new idea that wasn't in you before. And so that's the same that happens physically speaking. So that's the purpose of that. So that's it for today's lesson. And now let me get to the money making situation here. Let me go. Okay, here. All right. Wow. All right, let me. Okay. Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, what happened? Okay, yeah, I have to put your. There we are. Woo! All right. Are we ready to make some money now? All right. Woo! All right. Okay, my dear people, let's see what we can learn, what we can make money now. Now, to tell you, I have bad news in the sense that somebody hacked my account again, and somebody used my debit card to order some book from Amazon. Somebody in Seattle, I don't know who it is, but somebody hacked my account. So I'm going to have to order a new card, The convenience of something like that happened last year. So it happened again this year now. But this time it's only $22. Somebody ordered like a book from Amazon. I used my information, so I know how they hack into it. So my debit card has been compromised. So I have to order a new one. So it's going to take a while to get that one back. But I believe I can still do the Zelle because the Zelle is done directly from my account. So it shouldn't be any problem, I think. I should be able to take, to send you the money this Friday. So that's what I'm hoping for. So don't despair, the money will be there, Because as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't come out of my debit card. It comes out directly from my account. But that's what's going on with my car, so you'll be aware of that. So now, not all things are fair and dandy, in the world of the brick, of the flesh. But in the world of the breath that I identify with, everything is wonderful, I can tell you. Just amazing here, all right? Okay, so let me ask the first question. All right. Okay, let me see. For the first $70. All right. You write the question first. All right. Okay. The first question is gonna be for. I know it's today's $80. Sorry about that. It's $80. Yeah, $80. Okay, so yeah, $80. Sorry about that. $80. Okay, so there are three prices of $80. Okay. The first question is, the following sentence, or the following sentence I'm going to read right now. Pay attention. The following sentence here is, the main house that's always breathing or breathing. What does that represent as the name in Scripture? What's the name in Scripture that represents that? The main house that's always breathing or breathing. The main house that's always breathing or breathing. What's the name in Scripture that represents the meaning of that? I gave it to you at the beginning. What's the name in Scripture that represents... Oh, Brian. All right, Brian, you got it. All right, Brian Wanta. All right, let me put your name here. Rebeka or Ribqah. Rebeka, that's exactly what it means. Exactly. So you got the first one there. Very good. Rosa even got it too. And Brianna got the correct Hebrew. Woo! Okay, that's very good, Brianna. Because you have the correct Hebrew, Brianna. I'm gonna put $20 on you right now, okay, for doing it the correct Hebrew. Okay. And Brian gets the $80. But that's pretty good because that's the Hebrew there. All right. So you can still participate, Brianna, but not Brian. Okay. But because Brianna gave so for the next question is $80. All right. Very good. Very good. Rebeka or Ribqah in Hebrew. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very proud of you guys. You know your stuff. You're learning. Okay. Now, for the next question here now. Oh, sorry. Okay. I put at the beginning there on top, of the titles, Trust in You. I put that we're supposed to we identify either with on this side, of the paper, I put that we identify with this body of flesh, and I call it brick. This brick of flesh. And that's why we have seasons of joy. When things happen and go everything good for this body, that's why we rejoice. But what do we have to identify to have constant, joy? It starts with a B also, but it's in country. It was on the other side. So instead of identifying with the break of flesh, what do we identify to learn to have constant joy? Instead of the flesh, no, it's not that. It's not just that. It also starts with B. So instead of identifying with the brick, that is the flesh, we identify with this also that starts with B. But what's the word? It's an English word. It's not a Hebrew word. Okay, it's not blessings. Andy Crispin, breath. Very good. Very good. Very good. Breath. So, Andy Crispin, you get $80. Andy Crispin. Very good. Yeah, you identify with the body, the breath. Because that's the whole idea. Yud Vav, All right. Now, Okay, now the last $80. So congratulations, Andy. You get $80 there. All right, the last $80. Here we go. Now, let me think of this one. Okay. It's getting interesting. Okay. Okay, let me put this one here. All right. So the last question that Andy answered was hey, which breath, which stands for the letter or the hey. Okay, hey is the breath of God. You know. Now, what are some words that I taught you last week that all end up with a hey? Okay, the 4 words that I taught you last week, they all end up with a hey. So at least give me 2 of them. 2 of them, and you win $80. 2 of those words that end with a hey from last week. That's got to represent the breath of God. All right. Can't breathe. Okay. The Hebrew words. Mitzvah. Okay, that's one of them. Okay, you need one more. Mitzvah. It's fine. What are the others? And you have it. Okay. Okay, Brianna. All right, Brianna, my dear Brianna. You got it. You got it. You got it. And Torah Sabah. Rosa came afterwards with Torah and Sabah. All right. All right. That's not bad either. Okay. All right. But yeah, Brianna got in 2 different senses, but she got him. Okay. So, all right, Brianna. So you get 80 plus 20 you have already. So you're going to get 100. And last but not least, Rosa, for having the right ones, I'm going to give you 40. Okay. Usually give you a 30 at the end. I'm going to give you 40 this time. All right. So the winners this week, $80 for Brian and $80 for Andy Crispin, $100 for Brianna, and the fact that you have Rebeka and you, I'm just completely astonished by it. I had no idea that you had Rebeka in you. Anyhow, so you get 100 anyhow, and $40 for Rosa Crispin. So it was a joy to teach you guys today. I hope you learn to grow and to identify with your true nature, with your true economy, and even though things in the area of the flesh are not necessarily the way you are anticipating, don't you worry about it. The area of the spirit is what really matters because that's the residence of the residence place of God, okay? And that's what we need to be. So I love each one and every one of you. Let me put the song again, okay, before I close. I'm going to play it one more time. Yeah, everybody wins. Brianna Beth Rebeka. Brianna Beth Ribqah. Can't get over that. That's your name. Wow, I'm astonished. In any case, let me play this song here. Wow. Let's see here. Okay, let me put it back again. Okay, so in the style of Lauren Daigle, Trust in You, has been Torah rectified by yours truly, Zacharias Castro. So I'm going to sing it right now and see how it comes here. Let's try this.